Welcome to the Hyperpolyglot Activist. Learn languages, make a difference. My name is Dr. Carlos Yebra Lopez, and we're here today to discuss a major performance that took place yesterday here in Cali, and it was the halftime show of the Super Bowl performed by Bad Bunny. It was a major performance, and we're going to analyze its ideological implications. The main takeaway, the main idea I want you to take away from his performance is that it was translingual. It wasn't just in Spanish, surely it wasn't just in English, but my point is that it wasn't even in Spanish plus English. It was something in between and beyond, something that transcended any language understood as an autonomous, self-contained code that aligns with any given nation state. It was much more than that. It was more capacious, more complex, more inclusive, more diverse. And in this sense, the language in which the performance was conducted was just reflective of a way of life that cannot be pinned down to either Spanish or English, or even the sum of those two individual languages. Now, for those of you who are not familiar with translanguaging, you can click on the link above where I break it down for you, but I will just read the definition here from Ofelia Garcia, who has defined translanguaging as follows. Translanguaging is the deployment of a speaker's full linguistic repertoire without regard for watchful adherence to the socially and politically defined boundaries of named and usually national and state languages. So that's what it is. It was just Bad Bunny expressing himself with his full linguistic repertoire without paying mind to whether he was performing within the boundaries of the approved nation-state language, such as English in the US, or not. He did use some English. He said, "God bless America," for instance. He used a lot of Spanish, but as I said, his performance was more complex and more inclusive and diverse than that. Now, of course, this generated a lot of criticism by conservative pundits mostly, and I want to read here just the main reaction, of course, that of President Trump, and he said the following. He says, "The Super Bowl halftime show was absolutely terrible," and then here comes the main point in linguistic terms. He said, "Nobody understands a word this guy is saying." And that's what he wishes was the case. He wishes that only English was spoken in the US, which is why he approved in March 2025, March last year, an executive order making English the official language of the United States, which had very negative repercussions when it comes to translation in hospitals, for instance, etc., for people who were in dire need of it. But my point here is that if Bad Bunny's performance had been monolingual in Spanish, at least Donald Trump and others who think like him would have a point of reference from which to make sense of the performance. Because he is monolingual in English, he could just make sense of the performance by thinking that it was just a monolingual performance in Spanish. But my point is that it wasn't. It was more complex than that, and it can only be made sense from the perspective of translanguaging, which is an entirely new, more empowering, more inclusive, more diverse than the monolingual ideologies on which the idea that in the US only English should be the official language, or the performance from yesterday by Bad Bunny was just in Spanish, are predicated. And the second takeaway is that the US does not have the monopoly on what counts as American. When Bad Bunny said, "God bless America," I suspect he was using English to draw the attention of the crowd so that everybody was ready for the point he was about to deliver, which was that America is exactly that. It's the US plus any other country that it's in the Americas, meaning any other of the 35 nation states. That's what America is. And for the US to call itself America, as in the slogan "Make America Great Again," meaning make the US great again, or This is America, speak English, meaning you should speak English because most people in the US, not America, speak English. Against all of that, Bad Bunny flipped it and said, listen, you're just Usonian. You are from the US, and the US is part of America, but America cannot be reduced to the US, should not be reduced. You are in no position to dictate what counts as American, because I'm just as American as you are, as somebody who is from Puerto Rico. So these were the two main points that were made by Bad Bunny, and that in my eyes justify us speaking about this performance as paradigm changing, or at least culturally relevant for the time and place in which we are right now. Now, that's not to say the performance was without its flaws. You can criticize a number of things, and here I'm just going to mention two. But before I do, I would like to clarify that these are just footnotes. These are just minor criticisms to what was otherwise a tour de force. And these criticisms will be as follows. The first one is that when he said God bless America, and he tried to make the point that the Americas include nation states beyond the US, what followed was a parade of people with flags from different American nation states, the Bahamas, Brazil, Ecuador, you name it. And this almost defeats the point, because it is precisely the framework of the nation state, as I explained in the introduction to my recent book, Critical Polyglot Studies, which you can access by clicking in the link below. It is precisely the nation state, which is a European invention, that gave way to the language ideology, one nation, one state, one language, which Bad Bunny is fighting against. So now, by recurring to the nation state as the savior, he is just oblivious to the fact that it was that very idea of the nation state that engendered the monolingual ideologies that he is fighting right now. So the uncritical reproduction of the nation state framework would be the first criticism. The second one is that Bad Bunny might have played into the Orientalist stereotype and prejudice about Latinos as people who are great just for entertainment and reggaeton dancing and otherwise recreational purposes, rather than Spanglish symbolizing something broader, crossing over into, say, science or humanistic discourse. Is this something desirable? Do we want to reduce Spanglish to just exotic entertainment for Anglo-Saxon WASP audiences? I'm all in favor of the idea that translanguaging includes elements other than words. It includes body language and dances such as reggaeton, salsa, etc., and that everybody is welcome to partake, even if you are white and WASP and don't speak Spanish like Lady Gaga. You can still learn a couple moves and join the party. And I thought that that message was beautiful, it was great, but is this what we want Spanglish to be exclusively? Or can we cross over into other domains so that Spanglish is legitimized and respected as a practice that goes beyond just entertainment and reggaeton? Those are my main points. What do you think about Bad Bunny's performance? Let me know in the comments down below. And as always, thanks for watching.